Hey, it's Grandpa Jim. Welcome to Motivation Central Station today. Try to empower your life every time we have a get together on here. But today I got a real fun program set up from you. The spiritual teachings of Joe Exotic. You know, man, can you learn what not to do on that program, right? I mean, but you're talking about a guy that was, if you listen, the man was traumatized as a kid, and that's a big buzzword of mental health right now. Is you need to start helping these kids early from childhood trauma. I'm cut from that same cloth, so I'm going to try to give you an inside view of that. And then we'll talk a little bit about Carol Baskin a little bit. And then the hero of the program who has strong mental health right now, right? We can all get off track. In school, in counseling, they used to tell us you're one event away from sitting on the other side of the desk. And so today I feel like I'm on a real positive path right now. So hopefully I can pass some of that positivity to you. But usually I'm out on my front porch broadcasting. But I live in Wisconsin and it is winter out there. And I don't know what's got me more down. I don't like to use that word, but more that I'm coping with is being locked in from coronavirus or not being able to get out on that front porch because it's too darn cold. These winters in Wisconsin, they are just too long for sure. But a couple of my happy places. What are your happy places? You know, my happy place happens to be a stand-up comedy stage. I like that instant feedback. I like to get that laughter rush. It's kind of a drug for me. But you won't be able to experience that until you get up there. But if you do get up there and you can make a few jokes, it's a great feeling for sure. But another happy place of mine is the zoo. I've lived at the zoo over the years, so it's kind of ironic, that we're talking about Exotic Joe and his thing. Actually wrote some books at the zoo. You know, I found some real peaceful, chill places in our zoo where I could just sit with my laptop, and I wrote something called the Pre-Addictions Educational Series, which everybody in this docu-series could benefit because they all had addiction problems. Almost 90% of the people in that film had some type of mental health diagnosis going on, and definitely a lot of drug addiction. And cut from the same cloth. I grew up in an environment where everybody was pretty dysfunctional when I was a kid, and by God's grace, I was able to get out of that, get some treatment, and get my feet back on the ground, and mature emotionally. I see a lot of people that are emotionally stunted on that show. You know, Joe Exotic, the first spiritual teaching for us all is to look at people and instead of judging them, ask, where are they coming from? Today in mental health, we don't ask, why are you using? Why are you that? We say, what happened to you? What was your trauma? And Joe, I had to get back on, and I thought I better watch a little bit of the series because I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and I watched a minute and a half. And I'm like, ooh, I have enough to talk about off the first minute and a half. So we're going to have some good sessions coming up and, for you beyond this one about, I think tomorrow I'm going to do Carol Baskin. We will talk about her a little bit today, but I want to talk about Joe right away off the bat because he mentions very early on that he went to his father and I give the guy a lot of credit because he's like, hey, this is who I am inside. I'm an openly gay person. And he said that to his father, and his father said, grab your mother's hand. And he said to the mother, I want you to promise this kid never comes to my funeral. Now, if that ain't brutal, if that didn't stab that Joe, I keep saying Joe Exotic Joe in the heart, if that didn't stab him in the heart, I don't know what else. And then something I can relate to is he lost his brother at a very young age to cancer, and I did that too. And uh, I have counseled in the most violent neighborhood in the state of Wisconsin, and people often come in there and say, "I got to get this person because they shot me or they shot my brother." But in this case, there's nobody to shoot, so you're just angry at the world, and how could somebody take somebody so young from you when they didn't have time to grow? So I definitely could feel his pain on that kind of a level. That's for sure. And I want to talk about, let's group them together. Exotic Joe, Doc Antler, and let's throw Carol Baskin in there. They all mentioned that they didn't have many friends when they were younger and they felt really isolated. So here you are, you're not really connecting. The other thing too, though, I want to say is Joe said that those cats gave him an emotional attachment. He had something he could love and feel. And but the other thing he had is a social magnet. So when he put these uh, exciting, interesting cats out to people, they would come running up, and all of a sudden Joe was like, "Oh, I like this. I'm interacting with people." And sometimes they have that buffer of the cat in there, so you don't really get to know Joe, but for whatever that's worth. And Carol too, I see the same behavior in her. She mentioned she didn't have any friends and she was isolated. And so, we'll talk about more of her tomorrow. But I really want to talk about, you can learn so much. The seven deadly sins are all over this docu-series. You got greed, you got lust, you got gluttony, it's just all there. And so we'll be hitting on some of that stuff as we move forward as well. And so, I too, like this Doc, you can see with Doc, like when he gets these young girls, they're just traumatized. They don't have any idea who they are, and he catches someone they're really vulnerable, like a tiger, I guess, and he cages them in. And something too, just a footnote. I thought, wow, they get these people to do all this work for basically nothing. But if anybody was the master manipulator of them all, it's Carol Baskin, because she got people just to wear a different colored t-shirt. She didn't even have to pay them, So I think you get a lot of people that, they're looking for some way to find value too, and they fall into their trap. So I want to just wrap this up a little bit. I did some other podcasts on this topic. They're on Motivation Central Station. If you look that up on various platforms for podcasts, you'll find my stuff. You'll find positive mental health talks, and then you'll find some goal setting stuff there. And then also, I made a film that's on Amazon. I produced, directed it, and it's called Laugh Addict, Toxic Drug, or Best Medicine. And it's kind of related to this in that, I cover Robin Williams in the beginning of the film, like the man, by outside appearances, would have had everything: beachfront homes, big, open the door anywhere you want to go. People are going to come in, open the door for you. And so he wasn't happy. At the end of the life, he wasn't happy. And so how can we keep you happy? How can we keep you balanced? And then just finally, some of you, I know, then following it, me and my channel, I appreciate that, and these broadcasts. Are you still connected to your goals? Are you still planting those good seeds? If you plant corn, you're going to get corn. If you plant beautiful flowers, you're going to get beautiful flowers. So what are you planting? And so if you want to check out that film, the second half of the film deals with how can you use humor to humor. I was depressed for many years, and I walked into a stand-up comedy class, and my life changed forever. Because I'm like, this is a drug I've been looking for my whole life. So, anyways, check out Laugh Addict, Toxic Drug, or Best Medicine on Amazon. And hey, you know, we'll do more of this tomorrow. So that's our first spiritual lesson, is to look at people with empathy. And Seth in the film, she's my he likes the male pronouns. He is my hero because with his trauma, to be traumatized and still keep a smile on your face, still have empathy for other people, it's just a cool thing to see. There's somebody that's really in a great groove. And so, hey, thanks for hanging out with me today on Motivation Central Station. I'm Grandpa Jim, and we have more episodes coming up on Exotic Joe, the Tiger King. And so hang in there, and love you all, and have a wonderful, prosperous day. And be thankful. This is a renaissance period here. You're going to look back on years and go, yeah, it was bad financially, it was bad this, but this changed my life in more positive ways than it ever affected it. And mark my words on it.